Hello and good morning to everyone. So our today's lead code question is 3499, which is maximize active section with trade part 1. So basically in this question we are given a string n s whose length is n. So basically this is a binary string, that means it will contains 1 and 0. So here 1 represents the active sections and 0 represents the inactive sections, right? And what is given to us is that we can perform at most one trade, right? We can perform only one trade, and what we have to do is we have to maximize the number of active sections, or we can say we have to maximize the number of ones in the string, right? So let's see what we can do in a trade. So in a trade, first thing that we can do is we can convert a contiguous block of ones that is surrounded by zeros to all the zeros. That means suppose we have zeros, then we have a block having ones, and then we have again zeros. So this ones block is surrounded by zeros, so we can convert this ones blocks to zeros, right? So this is the first thing that we can do in a trade. Now the second thing that we can do is we can convert a contiguous block of zeros that is surrounded by ones to all the ones. So let's say suppose we have ones, then we have zeros, and then we have again ones. So now we can convert this block of zeros to all ones, right? So these are the two steps we can perform in a trade, right? So now what we have to return is we have to return the maximum number of active sections in S after making the optimal trade, or we can say basically we have to return the count of ones. We have to return the maximum count of ones in the string S, and the note is given that we have to treat the string as if it is augmented with ones at the both the ends. So suppose if our string is s, then we have to append the character 1 at the initial and 1 at the end, and then we have to find the final answer. And it is also given that the augmented ones do not contribute the final count, so we do not count these ones to our answer. So let's see the example. So our string is 1 0 0 0 1 0 0, right? This is a string. So first we will count what is the number of ones. Number of ones is here is 2, right? So we'll augment it, so it will become 1 1 0 0 0 1 0 0 1. So it has, we have augmented it. Now we have to do one optimal trade. So first thing that we can do is we take a block having zeros, ones and zeros, and then we can convert these ones to zeros, right? So let's say suppose we'll take this block having zeros, ones and then zeros, so we'll convert this ones to zeros. So it will become 1 1 0 0 0 0 0 0 1. In the next step what we can do is we can take a block having ones, zeros and ones, and then we can convert these zeros to ones. So if we'll take ones, then these zeros and then 1, then convert these zeros to all ones. So it will become 1 1, then 3 6, again 6 1, and then final one. Now we have to remove the ones that we have added in the augmentation. So we remove the first one and the last one. So how many total ones are left with us? So we have 7 ones. So 7 is our answer. So 7 is our answer, right? So let's see the constraints. So our string length is 10 ki power 5, and the string consists of either 0 or 1, right? So let's move to the approach part. So already we have seen that the trade consists of only two operations. In the first operation we have to convert the block of ones surrounded by zeros into zeros, and then in the next operation we have to convert the block of zeros that is surrounded by ones into ones, right? Now let's see what we will do is, instead of looking at individual character, what we will do is we'll consider the blocks, right? Blocks of zeros and blocks of ones, right? We'll think in terms of the blocks, right? So let's say we have zeros, we have ones, and then we have zeros, right? So now if we convert the middle ones, if the middle ones into the zero blocks, right? So it will become 0 0 0 0 0 0 and then again 4 zeros, right? So and then what we do is then we'll flip this entire merge zero block into ones, so it will become 1 1 1 1 1 1 and 1 1 1, because the string will be augmented, so we can flip those, right? So basically our, our every valid trade will be having zero blocks, then one blocks, and then zero blocks, right? So these three will be having into our every trade, right? Then let's say, let's assume that we have this 0 ones and zeros, so we have L left zeros, M middle ones, and then R right zeros, right? We have these values, right? So after converting when we convert this middle block to zeros, right? So it will become 0 0 0 0 and so on up to 0 0. So how many zeros? L plus M plus R zeros, L plus M plus R zeros, right? And when we augment this string, let's say we have augmented this string, so now we can convert these zeros to all ones, right? With these zeros to all ones, so this will become all ones, right? So how many ones? That is L plus M plus R ones, L plus M plus R ones, right? But initially we see we already have M ones, so how much gain we get? So final ones is L plus M plus R minus initial ones is M, so the final gain is L plus R. So if we have a block of zeros, block of ones, and then again a block of zeros, right? So the gain that we get from this whole block is the number of left zeros plus the number of right zeros, right? That is what I have written over here, that if we have zeros, ones and zeros, then having L left zeros, M middle ones, and R right zeros, then our final gain will be left zero plus right zero in that particular big block, right? So what we'll do is, so our whole approach will be that we'll take every possible block having zeros, ones and zeros, right? Then we'll find the gain of this block. The gain is left zeros plus number of right zeros, and then what we'll do is, among all the possible blocks we'll find the maximum gain, like which block is giving us the maximum gain, because we can do only one trade, so we'll take that block which is giving us the maximum gain, right? And then what will be the our final answer? So our final answer is the number of ones that we have initially, or the number of ones present in the string, input string, plus the maximum gain that we can achieve using that trade. So that will be our final answer. So let's see this with the help of an example. So we have this string, right? So the number of ones in this string is 1 2 3 and 4. So the number of ones initially in this string is 4. Then what we'll do is, then we'll augment this string, so we added 1 to the starting and 1 to the end. Now what we want block of zeros, block of ones and block of zeros, right? This is what we want: 0 1 and so on 0. We want these type of blocks, right? But if you see, initially this has some ones present, so first thing what we'll do is we'll skip the initial ones. So after skipping these initial ones, we are left with this string, right? Now what we want block of zeros, ones and zeros. So we can see we have zeros, then we have ones, and then we have zeros. So this part is our first bigger block, right? Now as we already discussed, will be our gain will be the number of left zero, that is 3, plus the number of right zero, that is 2, so 5. So this block is giving us a gain of 5. Then we take the next possible block, so the next possible block will be this one, 0 0 1 1 0 0. So what will be the gain here? So gain here will be 2 plus 1, that is 3, right? So what we have to do, we have to take that block which will give us the maximum gain. So out of these two, which one is giving us the maximum gain? So the initial one, that is giving us the gain of 5. So the maximum gain value that we get is 5, right? So what will be our final answer? Final answer is number of initial sorry, number of initial ones plus the maximum gain. So the number of initial ones that are present in the string is 4 plus the maximum gain is 5. So the total answer is 9. That at most we can have 9 active sessions, or we can say we can have 9 ones in our answer. So let's say how we are getting 9 as the answer. So this will be our initial string, then we have augmented it, right? We have augmented it. Then what we'll do is, then we'll take this block, then we take this one surrounded by zeros, and then convert this ones to all zeros. So it will become convert to all zeros. Now we'll take this part, this block of zeros surrounded by ones, and then convert them back to all ones, right? So these all zeros will be converted to all ones, right? And then we'll take the original string, that is we remove the initial one and the final one. So we are left with this string. So let's count how many ones we are having in this string. So 3, 3, 6, 7, 8 and 9. So we have 9 ones. We have 9 ones, and that is what we are getting as the answer, right? So let's see the code part. So in the code part, initially first of all we'll count the number of ones. We'll count the number of ones in the original string. Then we'll augment our string, that is add 1 and 1 at the beginning and the last, and then we'll start from I is equal to 0. Then we skip the initial ones. If there are any initial ones present, then we skip those, because we want the blocks as to be zeros, ones and zeros, zeros, ones and zeros. Then what we'll do is, then we'll read the number of zeros in the first block, then we'll count the number of zeros in the first block, and then we'll use a while loop. So already we have the count of left zeros, we already have the count of left zeros. Now we'll count the number of middle ones. Now we'll count the number of middle ones, right? And then if the count of middle ones is 0, then we'll stop, because after zeros if you are not getting ones, means either the either we have reached either we have reached to the final of the string, or ones are not present in the string. Then after reading the ones, after reading the count of ones, we'll count the number of uh, zeros in the right block, zeros in right block. So up to this point, suppose up to this point we get zeros, ones and zeros, we'll get the count of these three, right? And now we know what will be the gain. So gain will be the uh, left zeros plus right zero, that is C10 plus C20. And what will be our final answer? Final answer is number of ones present initially and the gain. So we'll take the maximum value of already present answer or the current answer, right? And then what we'll do is, now it may be possible that we have zeros, then we have ones, then we have zeros, then we have ones. So this will be one block. Then the next block will start from here. So here this C10, this will be C20. But for the next block this will be C10. So whatever value we have in C20, we'll give that value to C10. We'll give that value to C10, and at the end we return our answer. So I hope I'm able to explain you the solution properly. So if you like the video, please make sure to like, share and subscribe the channel. Thank you.